Welcome. In this video I'm going to go over exam review 3 questions with you, and please make sure that your answers are accurate for tomorrow's homework. First thing we need to do is we're going to look at this absolute value graph, and we know that the shape of this graph is a V. The first thing we need to do is to find the vertex. Now we can do this a couple ways. Safest way is to take that inside portion right here and set it equal to 0, and that gives us -1. And then when you plug -1 in, you get 3. So the vertex is going to be at -1, 3. Or we can use our translations, which is going to be a shift to the left and up 3. So this is where the vertex is. We know that this is in the shape of a V. The leading coefficient here is 1, so the slope of the branches are going to be 1. So there's one branch, and the other branch is the reflection of those. So we're going to just plot those points and connect those dots. Next, let's take a look at question number 2. It is a parabola. We know that because it's in the form of ax squared plus bx plus c. And the first thing we need to do is to find the x-coordinate of that vertex. And it is found by taking -b over 2a. 8 is b, so when we get it, we get -8. A is 2, so when we double it, we get 4. And so when that is simplified, we get -2. And now we're going to run the -2 through the original equation to find the y-coordinate of that vertex. So it's going to give us -2 quantity squared plus 8 times -2 plus 11. And again, we're going to just evaluate these. It's going to give us a +4. And that's going to be -16 plus 11. And again, when you take 8 and subtract 16, you get -8. And when you add 11, you get 3. So our vertex is going to be at -2, +3. So let's just find that, -2, +3. And now what we want to do is we want to take a look at the pattern of this. It is concave up because the leading coefficient is positive. And we're going to use a shortcut. We could use a table of values, but this shortcut is really convenient. The parabola, the parent parabola, has a 1, 3, 5 pattern, but all we have to do is take this number 2 and run it through there, and that gives us the new pattern, which is going to be 2, 6, 10. So I can go over 1 and up 2, over 1 and up 6, over 1 and up 6, and then the reflection points, over 1 up 2, over 1 up 6, and then you're just going to connect those points, and that's going to give you your parabola. On to question number 3. Okay, with number 3, I don't have my calculator out, but you can put this into your calculator. We're going to solve this using the calculator this time. First thing we want to do is we want to put this into matrix A and this into matrix B. And we know that if we're trying to solve for z, we've got to multiply it by its inverse. So it's going to be the inverse of A times Z is equal to the inverse of A times B. Because what you do to one side, you must do to the other. We know that a number times, or a matrix times its inverse is equal to the identity matrix, and that's equal to 1. So actually, the z is simply going to be found by finding A inverse B. And you can do that on your calculators, and your answer will be 3, 6. 3, 6 is how your matrix will look. Okay, on to question number 4. On question number 4, what we're going to do is we're going to expand this. First thing we need to do is to understand that this is 2 binomials. We're not going to distribute that square or that 2 in there and square each term. That's a violation of order of operations. Instead, we're going to just simply start FOILing this out. 1 times 1 is 1. 1 times 6i is 6i. Now we're going to move on to the 6i and multiply it by 1. We get 6i. And then 6i times 6i is 36i squared. And let's clean up the inside here. We have plus 12i. And what we have to understand about that I squared is that we are going to exchange it out for its equivalent value of -1. That gives us a -36. When we add 1 to that, we get a -35. So our correct answer here is going to be letter A. And finally, let's move on to question number 5. And this is a binomial times a trinomial. And in this problem, we're just simply going to distribute the 5b all the way down the line, and then we're going to do the same with the negative 1. So starting with 5b times b squared, we get 5b cubed. 5b times negative 2b is minus 10b squared. And 5b times 3 is plus 15b. Next, we're going to distribute a negative 1. Negative 1 times b squared. I'm going to line these up underneath each other because it's simply easier when you're adding them together. A negative 1 times a negative 2b is a positive 2b. And a negative 1 times a positive 3 is a minus 3. And now it's going to be much easier to combine these terms. We're going to get a 5b cubed minus 11b squared plus 17b and minus 3. And that concludes this video.